So we planned Anusha's journey in 2 separate phases. And in both phases, we had a specific North Star goal. Anusha's whole POV on her fitness journey was overtly sensitive and outcome oriented. For example, if she had worked X amount during the week on her fitness journey and she was like doing everything right, she's like, I must see end result on the scale. Now, we all know that PCOS management doesn't look like that because we first need to work with the hormones and get the body to feel safe again. And then the second battle was the fact that if something broke in her routine, like if someone came in, there was like sort of a blip of extra pressure at work, or someone said something to her, she would just spiral out into this emotional eating pattern, which was very hard for us to pull her out of from. So in phase 1, our North Star goal for Anusha was not rapid fat loss. It was to make her body feel safe again. We wanted to bring her inflammatory load down and also teach her some real stress management techniques that went beyond, just go take a walk or meditate for 10 minutes. Only once her body feels safe again, right, we saw a reduction in her hormonal parameters, we saw her hunger calm down, we saw digestion improve, and the scale started just dropping weight like this naturally. You might be wondering, why did we just not dive directly into a calorie deficit with her? Well, because she was already in such an underfed and stressed state because of the chronic dieting, that even if we pushed her into a deficit, the results simply would not be this good. So phase 1, which was about 6 to 7 weeks long, we split her goals into 2 buckets. First was hormonal improvements. We wanted to stabilize her blood sugar, reduce her glucose fluctuations, improve her insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, bloating, fatigue, and also boost her satiety signaling, right? Like work on her leptin resistance so that she could feel satisfied from the meals that she was eating. So this would reduce some of the bottomless hunger that she was feeling. And the second bucket that we wanted to fix were nutrition-specific improvements, like especially around her, stopping her restrict binge cycle, reducing her nighttime cravings, her cravings for something sugary constantly, and helping her have more meal consistency during the week, So she's not skipping meals randomly, overeating on some days, undereating on some days. To achieve both of these goals, we had to update 3 different pillars iteratively. So we had her workouts, nutrition, and her habits. So on the workout side, she was hitting it really hard, 6 days in a week on some days, couple of times in a week on some other days. So we decided to even all of this out. We took out HIIT and excessive cardio completely. We told her to do some more home workouts instead of going to the gym because she was not being able to be consistent because of her recovery, because of her slow recovery. So we replaced it with some low impact home workouts, very short, 30 to 40 minutes, something that was suited to her own fitness levels. The reason we avoided HIIT was because her cortisol levels were already very high. We needed her body to get stronger in stamina and in recovery capacity. The goal was progressively overloading the workout so gradually that Anusha barely felt it. But her body adapted every single week and got stronger. The low impact workouts at home, right, they actually promoted a nervous system friendly environment, which her intense gym training and group classes were not able to do, as they focused more on excessive calorie burn. On the nutrition side, we included more protein-rich meals. Previously, she was hitting around 50 to 60 grams of protein because she had no idea how to incorporate more protein into her diet. So we introduced more protein powder-based options like protein pancakes, protein muffins in the morning, more eggs, essentially all the meals that she enjoyed. The meal plans were designed to be hormone-friendly first, and they were built directly off her blood work. We implemented controlled carbohydrate timing, which means that she was eating carbs before and after her workout more so than randomly throughout the day. This helped her reduce her glucose fluctuations and directly improved her insulin sensitivity. Protein was distributed throughout the day, something that we called as protein pacing. This helped her a lot with not overloading her digestive system. Nothing was really cut out. She was eating wheat, rice, she was eating her South Indian meals. Everything was included but more so in controlled portions and in a way that really supported her hormones. So she never felt like she was starving or deprived of anything. And also, we included convenience meals for her and an emergency contingency plan as well, especially on days when she didn't have meal prep ready. So this happened once where she had no meal prep for 2 days straight, and then she went and had this custom chipotle bowl that we designed for her, with controlled rice, controlled beans, veggies, no sour cream. And that really helped her understand that, okay, she can eat healthy outside as well. This took a lot of stress off of her. Nobody had ever given her that permission before. And for supplements, we had the standard protocol of turmeric, CoQ10, omega-3s, vitamin D3K2, again, all built on top of her existing blood reports. For the third pillar of habits, we had to reframe her thinking completely from perfectionism to just consistency. I kept telling her that instead of being 100% on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then being 20% on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I want you to be 70% all the 5 days of the week. There's no need to be a perfect role model on a few days at all. The body does not understand that degree of intensity. It responds to daily stimulus. Remember, getting it done is better than getting it done perfectly. We also taught her some meal prepping strategies because she had these blockers around eating stale food and wondering if that was going to hurt her health. But in actuality, meal prep was one of the easiest ways for her to show up consistently for her body. The recipes were super simple, just 5 to 6 ingredients, nothing fancy, no need for complex 20 ingredient recipes at all. This severely reduced the cooking load on her, and she was able to prep all her meals for the week just within a few hours every Sunday. During this phase 1, we also helped her identify her own stress rhythms throughout the week. For example, she knew that every Thursday and Friday, she felt like this massive stress-related craving because there was just too much going on work on those days. So being aware of those things and having contingency meals, backup meals prepared for days like that changed the game for her. She never felt like she had to scramble last minute because that scramble was actually promoting all of the restrict binge cycles. And you know what? The biggest takeaway from phase 1 was that we never really had to work on her sleep directly. Her sleep actually fell magically into place because we fixed her workouts, her nutrition, and her habits. So she often would tell us that I just hit the bed and within 10 minutes I'm off. I really don't need any supplements or I don't need any scrolling or anything to put me to sleep. And that was amazing because this reduced her recovery load. So she started recovering a lot faster and was able to show up for workouts more regularly. So by the end of phase 2, one of the biggest shifts I saw was the way she showed up to the calls. She had a lot more energy, her jawline started showing up. The fat beneath her ears had started receding, leading to more open neck and clavicle. We started noticing that there was a lot more optimism in the way that she was thinking. So because Anusha was such a high performer, she started self-solving her problems. She's like, okay, if I could do this, then I can do this. And then I can do that. And it was amazing to see her go from what she was on week 1 to where she was at week 6. By the end of phase 1, Anusha had lost about 9 pounds naturally with PCOS, insulin resistance, high stress, high pressure. It was amazing, but something happened around this time where her manager at work told her that she would likely lose her job. And that set her back a few steps because she went into this deep stress loop where she started questioning everything. And then there was this additional pressure of egg freezing, which was going to happen 8 weeks from now. She already had an appointment ready and was going to enter that phase. So in her mind, it was like, I've got these 2 additional stressors. For us, we wanted to double down on things that worked in phase 1 for her so that we could actually get her to the egg freezing state in the healthiest metabolic state possible. So our goals for Anusha during phase 2 was continue improving her muscle tissue, continue improving her insulin sensitivity, prepare her body and her reproductive hormonal environment, particularly estrogen, progesterone, FSH-LH ratio, AMH levels, for the egg freezing. So do everything that we can through nutrition, workouts, and habits so that her eggs are the healthiest that they've ever been before she enters into egg freezing. So on the workout front, we included a little bit more cardio because that tend to make her more happier. And because her cortisol levels had now slowly come down, she was able to also survive those sessions without overloading her nervous system too much. We asked her to go back to the gym, so she wanted to lift those heavy weights and, push herself more, so we let her do that. She started thinking of gym as her happy place now because that really helped her disconnect from all of that was going on in her personal and professional life. To simplify life further for her, we gave her both home and gym options so that she could pick and choose wherever she wanted to work out depending on how she was feeling that day. And this, I think, was the biggest game changer for her because she didn't have to take that pressure that, okay, I need to drive 20 minutes to the gym back and forth, but instead I can just get my workout done at home. Apart from her blood markers, we noticed improvement at the gym on her Garmin stats. We noticed that her HRV levels had improved, her resting heart rate had dropped by a few beats. We noticed that her recovery rate was much faster, and she was able to lift heavy on almost all the lifts. Her upper body strength, chest strength, leg press, everything had improved over the last 7 weeks. She also started doing more ab work and reported looking leaner in her photos. And we're like, yep, that's exactly what we want. And look at you, killing it, even despite all of these additional stressors which life keeps throwing at you. On the nutritional side, we kept her meals staple from phase 1 because she liked some of them. Then we just gave her a few more options. Taught her a new recipe every week or two depending on what degree of cognitive load she was facing that week. So we stepped up her micronutrient focus to prepare her body for egg freezing. We included iron, omega-3, magnesium, folate-rich foods, fertility-supportive whole foods, and anti-inflammatory combinations. We included a lot of bell peppers, zucchini, bok choy, veggies that she would usually never eat, but we brought them in for that additional concentrated micronutrient focus. We also improved her protein quality. So initially, she was having protein powder 7 days a week. We reduced that to just 3 times in a week, and we added more whole food sources of protein so she could further get more fiber and micronutrients from there. On the habits front, she had learned to improve her bounce back rate. So if she missed a couple of days of workouts or habits, she didn't need that long to get back on track. And that was a game changer for her. I think it was the momentum of everything that was happening for her. Like, she was seeing improvements on all fronts. Mentally, physically, emotionally, from a stress POV, lifting heavier, getting compliments, seeing the loss in the scale. It all sort of fed into this cycle of self-improvement and becoming better. So by the end of phase 2, Anusha was preparing her body to go for a fertility treatment. And I want to take a pause here because egg freezing demands a lot from your body and no one really talks about this. So egg freezing is not just a procedure, it's a metabolic event. Your body is being stimulated to produce several eggs at the same time. This puts a significant demand on your hormonal system. It adds to your inflammatory load if you already have inflammation in the body, and it depletes your nutrient reserves. So if your body is still in a stressed, inflamed, insulin-resistant state, then you're not giving your eggs the best environment they can be to be produced in. This is going to impact your egg quality, which is going to impact your fertility procedure. This is exactly why we focus so much on including magnesium and folate and all of the micronutrients. Because did you know, folate supports the cell division, which helps you get the large number of eggs. Iron supports the oxygenation of your follicles. And omega-3 helps reduce the inflammatory environment that gets produced when you're, pumping your body with those hormones to stimulate the egg production. And this is also why Retatrutide diet would have been the wrong call, especially as she was entering into the egg freezing cycle. So women planning fertility treatment are typically asked to stop taking GLP-1 before they enter into that cycle. So had she taken Reta, she would have entered the egg freezing cycle with suppressed appetite, with depleted nutrient reserves, with poor hormone signaling because of her PCOS, much lower muscle tissue, and hence very high inflammatory load, causing a poor quality of eggs by the end of the cycle. What the holistic method did for her was it gave her body a more metabolically stable environment, nutritionally prepared and hormonally more stable. The fat loss was just a byproduct. The real win was that she walked into that clinic with a body that was built to do this. Just around the time of her fertility treatment, we noticed that Anusha's social eating had also significantly gone up because she was just so stressed from the procedure that was about to happen. This is completely understandable, right? Because egg freezing is not just a physically demanding process, it's also very emotionally draining. And we were always there to hold space for her for that. In 2.5 months, Anusha went from 221 pounds to 205 pounds. All naturally, all holistically, just by working out, eating, and functioning differently. But the number on the scale is the least interesting part of the story. Her visceral fat dropped from 19 to 15. And because of this reduction in visceral fat, the inflammatory load in her body reduced, which significantly contributed to better egg health and egg quality. Her workout consistency improved because her mindset improved. Her cravings were under her control and they were not controlling her anymore. Her bloating went down, inflammation down, insulin became better, liver enzymes normalized. So I'm going to take you through her blood markers one by one. Her insulin resistance improved significantly because her fasting insulin reduced in 2.5 months. Her pancreas was producing significantly more insulin when she started, and that dropped. So her C-peptide levels also improved. Her HbA1c levels were 6.1 when she started, and it dropped to 5.6 by the end of 2.5 months. She was moving away from the pre-diabetic range. She saw significant improvement in her metabolic fat markers. Triglycerides reduced, the HDL, which is the protective fat, that increased. Her inflammation, the hsCRP marker, which is the most chronic inflammatory marker, dropped significantly because her PCOS condition improved. Her liver stress also reduced significantly, as we can see in the ALT levels. This matters because liver is the center of hormone metabolism. So this is what 2.5 months of teaching your body to regulate hormones naturally looks like.